For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. On infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections.
If I were the devil, I'd take from those who have and give to those who want it until I had killed the incentive of the ambitious.
Violence and vandalism is being led by Antifa and other radical left-wing groups who are terrorizing the innocent, destroying jobs, hurting businesses, and burning down buildings. They are coming after me because I am fighting for you. That's what's happening.
Greetings, fellow thought criminals, and thank you for joining the insurrection. I'm Michael Lauber. This is Derek Evans. It's yet another glorious day in America's new golden age, and we've got a lot to talk about.
Yes, we do, Mike. And if you can, really quick, can you check what's going on with Rumble? Because it never connected there for some reason. We got people in the chat wondering what's going on. No worries. Just want to let you know. Guys, as always, like, share, subscribe, all those good things. We have an awesome show lineup for you guys here today. If you're watching live, whatever platform you're on, hop in the chat. I read every single comment during the show, and I do my best to give you guys a shout out. She might not hear this show because I don't know if we're connected yet, but we already got Kelly Song and Dan Dreher and a few others over here in the Rumble chat popping off. And we got Thaddeus and Kristen over here in the X chat. We appreciate you guys for tuning in. As I said, we have an awesome show lineup for you guys, and we have an awesome guest, JD Rucker. Welcome back to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me on, guys.
Well, thanks for being here. And while I get Rumble sorted out, could you give our audience kind of a quick rundown of who you are?
I am. The best way they can find me is on X right now because I'm about to tweet myself. Nice. I like this. Sorry, we don't say tweet anymore. I am JD Rucker. I am where most people know me is either through my show or through WWIII.com, which is a conservative alternative to the Drudge Report, something that has been desperately needed since Drudge went haywire and exposed his radical left leanings that he had been hiding for 2 decades, in my humble opinion. Otherwise, yeah, I mean, I'm just a California guy who's trying to help save America.
And so JD, really quick, like Liberty Daily, I think it's awesome. I head over there quite a bit, actually. Get a lot of the things I post onto X from there. So a lot of my X followers, if you're wondering where I get a lot of stuff, like a lot of breaking news and everything. Can you kind of dive into that just a little bit more as to, like, you know, what you guys have going on over there? Because I think it's one of those things that most people would really love to follow if they knew about it.
Sure. Most important thing is that they should go to the LibertyDaily.com. I don't know who owns just plain old LibertyDaily.com, but it ain't us, and people get all sorts of upset. It's basically a news aggregator, but it's all 100% manual. Like, there's a lot of conservative news aggregators out there that they pull from feeds, and they're just basically RSS feeds from Breitbart and Daily Wire and Fox News. We actually go through and we manually read the at least the headlines, if not the stories and videos, of anywhere from 1,500 to 2,500 articles per day, spread across a little bit over 300 sources. These sources are Some of them are big, like, you know, the aforementioned Breitbart. Some of them are little that nobody's ever heard of before, but we find talent. Like, I found this guy the other day. I don't even remember the name of his site. I think it might be RWP Media or something like that. You know, this guy, I looked him up on, I read one of his articles, and it's like, this guy knows what he's doing. And so I had to check to make sure that it wasn't like AI written, that it wasn't like, just copied and pasted from Fox News or something. And no, this was 100% unique content. I checked him on SimilarWeb, and he's getting like 6,000 visitors a month to his website. And I'm like, my goodness, let's get this guy some exposure. So we started checking his articles and we started getting them posted out there. So yeah, so the Liberty Daily, it's not just about hearing what's the latest breaking news, because we're on top of it, real time, almost 24/7. I would say we're about 21.5/7. there's got to be time for us to sleep at some point, but
of course,
that comes few and far between. But yeah, we try to find the stories that are America first, stories that aren't necessarily Republican, but that are definitely patriotic, conservative, and focusing in on the zeitgeist of not just conservative media, but also independent media. So that's the Liberty Daily in a nutshell.
That's awesome. And Mike, really quick, just update is we're going to be able to get Rumble going. I got people in the chat. Just want to know whether to tell them that it's going to work or not. I didn't know what to tell them.
I reset the feed. I thought it connected this time. So is it still not running over there? Because this may be a Rumble issue, not in us. Well, this may be a Rumble issue this morning. And
no worries. I just didn't want them sitting there waiting all day on us for no reason. I'll tell them to go find it on another platform. So no worries. We can continue on the show.
Rumble issue, not in us.
Didn't want for no reason. So no worries. Didn't know what to.
Well, I'll try resetting it one more time, see if it connects this time. But I double checked the stream keys and all that were correct, so this may be a Rumble issue, unfortunately. But yeah, we use we use Liberty Daily to generate a lot of for a lot of the stories that we cover over here. Because same thing, like we always at a glance look down, you've got good headlines on there, and then they link back to good sources. So we're actually starting off with Liberty Daily today. Tommy Tuberville slams RINO Thom Tillis for blocking Judge Ed Martin. Persecuted J6er John Strand speaks out against RINO Thom Tillis's block of Ed Martin. And again, we covered this yesterday, kind of got into it, but we need real fighters on our side, especially there in D.C., and if Tillis doesn't get out of the way, that means Boasberg gets to pick his temporary replacement until they find somebody that Thom Tillis would approve of.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say, and I'm reticent to get too finger pointing, but this feels like it's a conspiracy. This feels like there's some deep state forces here, because Thom Tillis has come out. I know he's a mega RINO, okay,
yeah,
but he's come out and he's basically said, "Look, I like this guy. I talked to him. He's definitely qualified. Even some of my concerns about J6 with him, he understood where he stood, and yada yada yada. As a matter of fact, if he was in any other district other than DC, I would support him. But because he's in DC, that's why he's not going to."
That makes even less sense when DC is really where our judicial system clearly needs an enema, especially with all these judges standing in the way of powers clearly delegated to the president. And we're going to talk about another one later today that's even more ridiculous, in my opinion, than a lot of the other ones where they've stood in and blocked what the people wanted, what the people voted for, trying to prevent Trump from deportations or detransitioning our military. And these are clearly activist judges overstepping their powers. And unfortunately, with our dishonest media, there's no coverage to the contrary. They're all holding up these people as heroes, like they're the few people standing up to save our Constitution, our democracy, when in reality, they're the ones shredding the Constitution right now.
Right. No, they absolutely are.
Absolutely. And then I wanted to give a quick shout out to Smash over in the X chat. But I think this is so much deeper than what people are actually thinking on this. I really do. These people are not just RINOs. They are anti-Trump, but they come from red districts to where they cannot openly, or they don't want to openly say that they are anti-Trump. So a lot of them are just remaining silent. So everybody's after Thom Tillis right now, rightfully so. But I would argue that the senators, especially from the red MAGA districts, who are being quiet on this issue with are just as guilty, just as complicit on this. They should be beating the drum right now for Ed Martin, and not just because it's Ed Martin, but it's because it's President Trump's nominee. President Trump has earned the right to put whoever he trusts into these positions. They have attempted to take his life multiple times. He has, in my opinion, the authority at this point and the goodwill and the mandate from the American people to choose whoever he wants to in these positions. And then he said something yesterday in that interview that a lot of people didn't fully catch, and I did just because, obviously with everything I went through with January 6th. He mentioned the 1512, which is the obstruction of official proceeding. The Supreme Court overturned that. It is my belief, and I've spoken to a lot of other people in D.C. over the last 24 hours who feel the same way, that most of the district judges, well, all of the district judges there in D.C., agree with the 1512, think the Supreme Court was wrong in doing so. Prosecuting attorneys are the same way. Deep down, if they were being honest, most of these anti-Trump rhinos, even the ones who are being silent right now, truly believe that there was an insurrection that occurred on January 6th, and they believe it was President Trump's fault. They just don't have the guts and the backbone to say it. So I'll give Thom Tillis credit for that. At least he had the guts to come out and take a stand on it. I disagree with his view and want to get rid of him, but there's a lot of others who feel the same way. They just don't have the courage to say what he said.
Sure. Yeah, a rhino's a rhino to me. Courageous rhino, cowardly rhino. They're all against America. And I'm not disagreeing with you. I mean, I'll take, if I have to pick one, I'll take one that's going to at least be honest about his opinions rather than stab me in the back when I'm not looking.
Yeah.
With that said, I still think there's something weird here. This feels like something that not even somebody like Tillis, not even the rhinos, they wouldn't stick their neck out this far unless there was some sort of coercion. I'm not trying to get conspiratorial, but I'm just saying that this seems to be extremely important to them, important enough for them to stick their neck out. And so we'll see. I mean, it really does come down to how are we going to react? Like, it's not what Trump's going to do. It's not what Boasberg's going to do. We already know what he's going to do. It's not what anybody in DC is going to do. It's how are the people going to react? Are we going to move along to the next outrage if Ed Martin gets completely shafted? Yeah. Probably. And that's the unfortunate reality of America today, is that we just keep moving on to the next topic and we forget about the one that outraged us yesterday. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I find it interesting that this is the person they've chosen to make a stand against, when it would have been easier for them to try to block Kash Patel or somebody else, where the outrage machine was already there and they were already kind of setting the stage. To me, this feels more out of nowhere. It does feel like maybe he was coerced, or there's something else going on behind the scenes. If there's a reason the DC machine really doesn't want this guy there, and why they chose to stand against Ed Martin and not some of Trump's other earlier nominees for other positions. So yeah, you're right. Something stinks about this, and hopefully they can find a way to get him the votes, or get Tillis to admit he's wrong on this, disappoint him. Because again, Tillis voted for all of Biden's nominees, even the worst of the worst, like Merrick Garland. Yeah, Obama's. Yeah, basically.
But it goes so much deeper, though, man. I mean, so first of all, we have until May 20th, and that's a very important date, as we all know. But they left him off of the Senate agenda for the Judiciary Committee or whatever for tomorrow, which is their last day of this week. So he's not even going to be brought up at all this week in the committees or anything like that, which is the process to get this moving. Like, they haven't even started the process in terms of moving towards confirming Ed Martin. But I'm telling you right now that it all comes back to January 6th. Thom Tillis said it over and over and over, and he is being the mouthpiece for the other rhino turd senators right now who don't have the courage to say what he just said. It's all coming back to January 6th. If you think about it, a lot of these people blamed President Trump for January 6th. They actually believe that there was a coup or an insurrection that took place. I believe that they are afraid to allow Ed Martin into that position full time, because they know that Ed Martin will expose, or do at least everything he possibly can to expose, the coup that these people committed on the sitting president of the United States of America when they stole the election from President Trump and installed the illegitimate Biden regime. That's what they're afraid of, and that's why they're so nervous.
Agreed. I think people need to realize that a U.S. attorney has immense power. They have, they can do a whole lot, especially if they have a sympathetic attorney general over them. So I think you're absolutely right, Derek. I think that they're not terrified of Ed Martin's going to do this or that. They're focused on what Ed Martin will do, who he will expose, who he can go after, who he can investigate, because he can do any of those things. If he's U.S. attorney in that district, he can go after all of these people. And I guarantee you that at least some of them if not all of them, are behind all this false narrative, behind the whole J6 fake whatever they tried to the unselect committee. Is that what he calls them?
Yes, yes.
You know, I mean, I think that they're just terrified that he's going to expose the truth of what was happening on January 6th, after January 6th, and possibly even before January 6th. There's a lot of heads that could roll, and he's the kind of guy that would probably roll them. So, I agree with you
that's
fully.
a lot of people don't know this about Ed. So once again, I know this just because of my own deals with January 6th. So many of these things happened behind the scenes because they had to for the longest time, you know, because we were still under tyranny of the illegitimate Biden regime. Ed Martin is truly a patriot. This man went above and beyond to help raise money for legal defense fund for J6ers, to help, you know, with legal cases and such involving January 6s, Sixers, to protect our constitutional rights, or at least fight to hope that we had constitutional rights, because they were being trampled on the entire time. And once again, that is why they are so afraid of him, because this isn't just some person who had sat around and said, the J6ers are being treated wrong. We're saying that now. He knows where a lot of these bodies are right now, because he has been a very integral part of our fight in the January 6th community as we were battling for our freedom for 4 years. He was a big part of that every step of the way. So he knows all the little details, all the nook and crannies of everything that happened post January 6th. He knows who the players are in terms of the DC judges. He knows who the players are in terms of the prosecuting attorneys. He knows the things that they attempted to do that never made it to public, because he was there as a part of that the entire step of the way. And for the record, he was there just as an attorney, as a constitutional person, saying, this is the Constitution, and their constitutional rights are being trampled on. So I want to make that very clear. That was his role in this, and a lot of this was done behind the scenes, or if you know sort of thing. And those people in the Senate know that about him, and that is why they are fearful.
Yeah, well, I think you're exactly right, and that's why, again, we've got to make the push, try to get this guy across the finish line, start calling your senators, have them apply pressure where needed, because we need to get Ed Martin in there, because, again, we want somebody like him that's going to be a real fighter, that's going to cast sunlight into DC and disinfect this corrupt system that we've all been struggling against for over a decade now. Well, the other big news from last night is India and Pakistan exchanged fire, dozens killed. And the real concern here is they are both nuclear-armed nations. And as I'm sure probably all of you guys saw last night as nauseum, as the videos were coming out and the fake videos were coming out from these strikes, is that Pakistan, if India were to invade and cross their border with tanks, their plan is to retaliate with nuclear fire, basically nuke their entire border, make it a no man's land, so everybody coming across will glow in the dark, and India will then consider that a direct attack and launch missiles at Islamabad, other major cities within Pakistan, and at all their military bases. So this has the whole world concerned, and even China, which is one of Pakistan's largest allies, is concerned, because the fallout will drift directly north with wind patterns right into central China, where a lot of their crops and food are grown, and potentially contaminate everything. And they're already in a bad situation in China due to the tariffs. This will make it that much worse for them.
I'm
Yes,
laughing really
it will.
quick. Go ahead, JD. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I want to hear what the joke.
Well, no, it wasn't. So Obliviously is in our Getter chat, and I've said this multiple times. Obliviously is hilarious. I'm telling you, if you ever see me just smirking during the show, it's because I'm reading comments. Obliviously says this is 7-Eleven versus 9/11.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. See, now that's awesome, because I was trying to think of, how to make light of this without being like over the top, and it's like,
yeah.
wow, that's perfect. I didn't have to even say it. I can cover my eyes and pretend not to laugh at it, but that was hilarious.
Yeah, see, we've got such a great audience.
Yeah.
Oh, Obliviously.
They can say things that we're not allowed to say, and we didn't say it. I'm not saying it. I'm just saying that's hilarious. I was telling my wife yesterday, one second. I was telling my wife yesterday, good coffee.
Good.
I was telling her yesterday, she's like, and my wife, if you guys knew, like she's a 24/7 news hound. Okay, it's always on. Something's on at all times with the news, except for occasionally she'll watch the Eagles. I don't know if you guys have been watching the Eagles, eaglets getting born, and they've got like these live feeds.
Oh.
Anyway, yeah, she watches that too. But usually it's the news, and so she's the one that heck, I would say a third of the breaking news that we get on the Liberty Daily is her texting me and saying, "Hey, this just dropped." It's like, oh crap, you know. But anyway, so she's like, you know, what does this mean? Like, break this down for me, because yeah, I know what happens with China and Russia, Ukraine, Middle East, but what is this India Pakistan thing? I mean, I keep hearing they're both nuclear. What is that going to mean for us? And I said, honestly, it's think of it like this. This would be, as far as America is concerned, this would be the least impactful nuclear exchange for us. Like
Yes.
anybody else exchanging nukes and we're dead in the middle of it. That one, I mean, they're right next to each other. It's not like it's intercontinental ballistic missiles flying across the sea. It's like they're right next to each other. They're going to keep it limited to the border. They're you know, it's like it's going to hurt China a lot. It's going to hurt obviously stability in Asia and the Middle East. But as far as the effect on us, it'll be almost entirely economic. Okay, that's where it's going to affect us the most. And then I made the tawdry joke, and our customer service lines will be greatly diminished as in quality. Other than that, we're not going to feel much.
That's hilarious. That really is.
It'll create new call center jobs here in America. So, you know, at the end of the day, it's a good thing.
Tariffs
we want
nukes, whatever it takes to bring industry back here. Tariffs or nukes, we got it. No, I'm not. I hate to make light of it because this is death, destruction, and nuclear war. But it really is. They don't have, like, China is involved. China and India obviously don't get along, right? Yeah. Pakistan has their own challenges in the Middle East, but they can stay focused on each other. It'd be like, you know, think of it like, and this I explained this there like this. Think of it like two medium-sized dogs, okay, not like Dobermans or Rottweilers, but two medium-sized dogs, ferocious dogs that just hate each other, okay. And there's nothing their owners can do. There's nothing anybody can do. They have to decide whether they want to fight. And if they're going to fight, we can't stop them. This is why, I mean, Marco, you know, Trump, he didn't come out there and say, we demand this. He's just like, hey, I hope this is short. And Marco Rubio's like, hey, we're monitoring, but there's nothing we can do. There's nothing China can do. There's nothing Russia
There's nothing we should do.
There's nothing we should do. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. This is like my favorite. This is the best possible potential nuclear war I've ever seen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in general, you know, really quick, some shout outs over. We got WWIII and We Need a Hero in the X chat. Appreciate you guys for tuning in over here. Kristen says this is not our war, and that's exactly correct. Like, there's nothing that we should be doing in any of this other than kind of sitting back and watching and hoping, as President Trump said, that this ends relatively quickly. That's all we can hope for. I did, though. So I made a post on X, and I was just asking. I mean, I've known that these countries were at each other's throats for a while, but I didn't really know the full backstory. It's impossible to keep up with every single thing that's going on in the world. So I wanted some information, just some general basic knowledge as to what was going on here. So I'm going to read a post really quick from David Pollock, who is a good friend of mine and is in media and such as well. And so he kind of responded to my post, and he said, on April 22nd, gunmen disguised in army uniforms attacked tourists in some valley there near some Palagam, I don't know how to say these things, and they killed 26 people, mostly Indian Hindus. India then attributed the attack to the Resistance Front, which is an offshoot of the Pakistani-based some other Lashkar-e-Taiba. I don't know. It's a Pakistan denied involvement, though. Pakistan denies that, but India is saying that they did. So then yesterday, India launched what they're calling Operation Sindoor, and it targeted 9 sites in Pakistan, and then Pakistan administered Kashmir with missile strikes aimed at terrorist infrastructure, and Pakistan condemned the attacks and, you know, vowed retaliation. So that's kind of the gist of it. Is that, I'm asking you guys, because you guys will probably know, I know Mike follows world events more than I do. I'm more focused on America. Is he referring to the thing where there's a guy on a zip line and he's filming himself and he doesn't realize that there's people being killed beneath him? Is that the same attack that he's talking about? I don't know if you guys saw that video or not, but there's like a guy just having fun on a zip line. It's in India.
Yeah, and caught it in the background.
And and he didn't even realize it. There's all these shots going off, people are being killed. And he's just like, woo, I'm on the zip line, because he had no clue. Is that
Yeah, I think Derek might have just frozen. But yes, that is the same initial attack that now it's escalated to this point. And, these two countries, like you guys said, have been going at it for decades, both over the disputed land in the Kashmir region and just in general, that they've had huge number of Islamists going over the border into India, attacking small villages and towns. And you've had some Hindus going back over in retaliations. Like, this has been ongoing for over 30 years. It's not going to slow down anytime soon. And I'm kind of on the fence of whether this is going to escalate to a full-blown nuclear conflict or not, because both sides don't seem willing to back down, but at the same time, like, that is a line a lot of nations don't want to cross. Even if they talk about it with a lot of bluster, they know that, like, once that line's been crossed, there's no going back, and both nations have to know that there's going to be a nuclear response from the other if they're the first ones to press the button. We've got to take a quick break here from our sponsors, and we'll be right back with more.
Hello, everyone. I'm excited to announce the next generation of energy drinks, Rev 7. It has no sugar and no caffeine. Instead, Rev 7 uses Go BHB. Go BHB is one of the body's primary ketones, and it provides the most efficient and clean fuel that your body needs. It also helps you stay energized all day with no crashes. Not only that, it produces 3 times more brain energy than sugar, which helps boost your memory, focus, and mental sharpness. It also helps reduce stress and helps balance your mood. Rev 7 does all that while being the best tasting energy drink ever. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% today. I'm so sure you're going to love Rev 7. For a limited time, you get our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. I drink Rev 7 every day, and I absolutely love it, and so will you.
Guys, thank you for staying with us. And again, the best way to support Ex-American News and all our programs over here is by supporting our sponsors. Mike Lindell, again, he needs your help. So do his employees at MyPillow right now. They are under attack from our mainstream media again after Mike Lindell's threatened to throw his hat in the ring and run against Tampon Tim for governor of Minnesota. And again, if you want a good energy drink, something that's powerful, take it from an ex-crackhead, from Mike Lindell. If something's going to give you energy, give people an insane amount of energy, it's going to be Mike Lindell's energy drink. And again, that's not enough.
He is full of energy all the time. Like, this guy is, we've met him so many times, or been at different events. It don't matter if it's 6 a.m., 11 p.m. This dude is like fired up all the time. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I worked for him for 2.5.
Man, this is great. I got to come on the show more often. This is more fun.
That's what we try to do.
Like OAN or Newsmax.
Exactly.
I usually have to be the funny one. I just have to let you guys do it. I'll be the serious.
Our audience, honestly, our audience does a lot of the funny stuff for us too, which is awesome. That's why I love reading the comments during the show.
Exactly. And with all the stories, all the historical events we've covered over the last 2 years, if you can't have fun with it, then don't do it. I want to be able to inform the audience, but I want to be able to do it with a smile. I mean, sometimes there's serious stories and stuff we can't joke around about, but otherwise, we're here to be informative and entertaining. Hopefully, maybe I'm not as funny as I like to be sometimes, but yeah, every once in a while we land a good one.
We can say for sure that The Insurrection is the only show out there that refers to their sponsors as former crackheads. I've actually tried Rev 7, and I ordered another batch because it's that good. I'm on the ketogenic diet, so I know all about BHB. I know all about ketones and all that stuff. I know you couldn't tell that I'm on a diet, but I am. But no, it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, oh gosh, okay, I'm gonna have to try to sell this. Let's drink it, and it's like, wow. And I started reading. Wait, no sugar? What? No caffeine? What? Based on BHB ketones. It's like, this was made for me. I ordered some more. I didn't even I forgot to use my promo code. So
I just tried it for the first time yesterday, and actually I was really impressed. I just got the 3-pack, the sample in, and I'm going to order more myself because, again, I do way too much coffee as it is. I'd rather do something like this that's a little healthier and lasts longer. That was the big thing I noticed is, caffeine, I get the crash after about 2 hours, and probably that's just because the amount I do of caffeine I'm drinking every day. But this stuff lasted probably a good 6-7 hours before I started to kind of feel the energy taper off. By then, it was the end of the day. So perfect timing.
Perfect.
Well, let's, I guess, go ahead and hop into our next story here, because we got to love the Trans-Tifas. Trans-Tifa agitators target elderly, throw feces, harass attendees in protest of Riley Gaines' TPUSA event at University of Washington. And man, I'm telling you, these police have to have some amazing restraint, because if I got somebody flinging poo at me, I don't care. I mean, I'd be losing it right there, and it would be a massacre.
Yeah.
Throw
Yeah,
poo
Seattle
at you?
is. Yeah, crackhead, poo, we have it all here at
Yes.
Insurrection.
That's right. That's right.
You know, I used to, my daughter and her fiance, they travel a lot. They go to South Korea, they've been to Japan, they go across the United States. And the only trip where I actually considered, you know what, maybe I should follow them up there and shadow them, was going to Seattle. They went to Seattle, well, and then later on they went to San Francisco. And in both cases, I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, pray for my daughter. These places are so dangerous. And it's not because of the crime necessarily. I mean, the crime, of course, is bad, but it's because of the way that the police are treated. They are just, they can't do anything. And I'm a big fan, by the way, of no police state. I'm not like, oh, make sure the police are cracking down on everything. But, you know, I'm not in favor of that, but I am in favor of, hey, you know, if like this person is hurting this person, why not stop that person? Okay. Yeah. Just a thought. You know, not pander to them. So I don't want a police state, but I also don't want a completely limp-wristed police force trying to defend the city.
So this whole story reminds me of a T-shirt that I had in high school. This is back in the 90s. I don't know if you guys remember. It was a picture of a monkey and it said "Who flung poo?" I don't know if you guys remember that, but that's hilarious. But anyways, this whole thing was absolutely terrible. Of this, the video is awful. If you guys haven't watched the video, I posted it over my ex. They are literally following this couple. They're telling this couple to kill themselves. And when we say an elderly couple, I don't mean like somebody in their 50s. I mean, they're walking. It's not like they're on a walker or in a wheelchair, but I mean, they're definitely somebody's grandparents. I mean, these are definitely, you know, white-haired elderly people. Nothing wrong with that for the record. I'm just trying to set the picture here that this clearly a couple who's not capable of defending themselves against probably one or two, you know, normal aged people, let alone an entire mob of these people. And what are they guilty of? Why do these people hate them? Because they went to a Riley Gaines event and said, you know, where they didn't even say anything. They just listened to Riley Gaines speak and where she's, you know, trying to defend women's rights. And that is why these people are so mad at them. It is very scary where we're at in this country right now, that people are get so outraged and so blinded by their hatred towards somebody that they don't even know, just because they have a different belief than them. I mean, I just can't believe this. So the video is absolutely heartbreaking. The other part about the video is the police officers are right there escorting this couple. It's like, why are you not arresting anybody? These people are harassing, they're threatening, they're assaulting them. I would say at this point, throwing stuff at them. Like, why were these people not arrested for their actions against this elderly couple? Whoever those police officers are should turn their badge in today, and if not, then they should be fired and lose their pension and everything else, because they are worthless.
Well, I mean, I can tell you part of the reason why right here with this next story. King County public defender among 30 arrested after Antifa occupation of University of Washington building. You know, we to your point earlier, JD, you know, that the lack of policing, the lack of enforcement, and then the fear among officers that they'll be prosecuted, reprimanded, or fired if they actually intervene and do anything. I mean, that's what's turned a lot of these cities into basically open air mental institutions / human zoos, and with feces and needles on the ground and everything else. Like, this is the environment you create when there's zero enforcement, when you're, you know, installing things like these, what do they call them? Safe, the shooting galleries, where you can go in and do your drugs. They have a nurse there on standby in case somebody ODs and they need the Norco shoved up their nose. But this is the end result of that. There is no enforcement, which means there's no consequences when you act like a heathen and torment old people and people in the streets. They took over this university building over the weekend or earlier in the week, and then this is what's happening just a few days later. But unless there's arrests or real arrests, like these 30 will probably be released overnight with no charges or some kind of slap on the wrist. But unless there's consequences for the actions, it's just going to continue.
Yeah, no doubt there, because we have, when we look at what's happened including J6, including Tina Peters, and especially going all the way back to Derek Chauvin and George Floyd. Every little bit of it has been part of not just an indoctrination of the left, but also a normalization on the right of being willing to accept this stuff. Like, we are more shocked as a society today when police intervene than when they don't. I'm serious. I mean, you might not even notice it, but watch when you see like let's say an Oklahoma cop, somebody mouths off and they're like, shut up, boom. And, I'm maybe not going that far, but you get when they're actually doing what police officers did, a decade ago, when there was a crime being committed, they would actually enforce the law. Yeah. That today is more shocking video than watching a police officer have poop thrown at him while he's not defending the public safety. Okay. Yeah. This is what they did. They've changed us. And when I say us, you might say, oh, they haven't changed me. But again, I say subconsciously, we see so many videos of police passivity that the part that is more, maybe not shocking and we root for, but the part that is more surprising to us is when we see actual good police work being done. And this is part of the cultural Marxist transition that started with Obama. You could technically take it all the way back much further than Obama, but Obama was the primary catalyst to make it to where we're accepting of police not doing police work, criminals being allowed to be criminals, and us putting our lives in danger, our freedom in danger, if we're trying to do what American citizens used to be able to do, which was defend themselves, defend their property, and defend the Constitution. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know the solution to this.
No, it's a great point.
Let's try to change the laws.
No, it's a great point. Like even what I just said a second ago, like those police officers, shame on them for not. Honestly, now that you mention it, if I was a police officer, I wouldn't do anything either, because look what happened to Derek Chauvin. I mean, this guy's in prison now for doing his job. Look what happened to Penny, who was not a police officer, I know, but I mean, trying to help somebody on the New York subway. It's like, I mean, you couldn't pay me enough money to be a police officer in this day and age, to be honest with you. But it's happening at the top, as you said, and it's the culture that they've created within the judicial system. It is unbelievable. They've overtaken the judicial system the left has in this country, and it has a trickle down effect, if you will, on everybody and our way of life. And it's really sad and unfortunate that we've gotten to that point. But so now that you mention it, but back to this specific story, one of the things that I do not want to see happen is it's the University of Washington, a public school. They've had their campus destroyed. Guess what? You can pay for the damages out of your endowment. Don't you dare ask the taxpayers to come in and help you take care of this problem that you have allowed to fester and you have promoted within your own campus. You can use your endowment that is very large. I'm sure I can look it up in a minute to pay for these damages. Do not ask we the taxpayers to pay for the damages from your ignorance.
Yeah. Well, to your earlier points, kind of both of you made, is we know enforcement works. This is why, just kind of a segue to our next story here, but this is why the Biden regime cracked down and put all this pressure on different conservatives, in many cases illegally, people that weren't even breaking the law or doing anything wrong. But we know enforcement works. Do you guys remember that video from the Stop Oil protesters from about a year ago that was on the Indian reservation, where they blocked the road, and then when the police show up, there was no mercy. These guys were just grabbing by the shirt collars, tossed them to the side of the road. I remember one lady had herself handcuffed to a trailer, and they just they're like, okay, well, you don't want to let us uncuff you? Fine. You can follow the trailer along. It's going off the road. And they just pushed her right along with it. She's whining and crying. But, I'm pretty sure Stop Oil or whoever it was didn't show back up on whatever reservation that was, because they got the welcome they deserved. They were all charged with crimes. And again, it wasn't excessive, but they were charged for, blocking public roads, for an unpermitted protest, and whatever other crimes they could drum up on something like that. But it wasn't anything excessive or unreasonable. But they solved the problem immediately, and people got back on the road to travel to whatever it was they were trying to block. But again, like I said, they don't show back up. We got this story too from the Biden regime. Again, this is something we all knew about, but Trader Joe memo let feds target Americans for non-criminal behavior before Catholics and parents were probed. And again, this is something we've talked about numerous times previously. We know this went on with the weaponized FBI. But again, now we've got written proof that this was intentional. This wasn't rogue FBI agents or people trying to conduct valid investigations. This really was a terrorism campaign, because that's the point. You're trying to prevent your political opposition from speaking out by using methods that induce fear. And now we've got written proof.
Yes, we do. And it's funny because, number one, I have a grammatical mistake in the headline that I got to go fix real quick. You covered it up for me very nicely. I appreciate you. You recovered fast when you started realizing, hey, this isn't actually English. Number two, I didn't get to read the story. This is one John Solomon over at Just the News. He's
great.
Stories, and I trust his judgment. So when he says big, and he sends it to me, he doesn't do that very often. When he says this is big and sends it to me, I don't even have to read it. I pop it up there and I put it in my thing to read for later. But to your point, so my understanding of the story, because I am familiar with it enough, is that behind the scenes, and this is the part that I don't think people understand about how our government works. What we see, okay, so executive order this or law that, or we see all the things that are on the public. But where the real danger lies is what I call the get out of jail free card.
Yes.
The memos on the back end that give people such as FBI agents, for example, give them cover. It's like, hey, we know that this might be in some gray area for the law or the Constitution, but we got a memo from the big guy. And this memo says that, that you're okay. So in other words, we don't have to say you're going to go after Catholics, you're going to go after conservatives, you're going to go after, we don't have to say that. But if anybody catches you doing that, we got this memo that nobody knows about that you only pull out if need be. And those are the things people don't realize, that there are literally thousands of those. Okay. So that getting a presidential memo or a congressional memo is, again, essentially it's not going to guarantee like a law or an order.
Yeah.
But it's basically sort of semi-cover that's saying, hey, I was just doing what I was told. Here's the memo that says it.
It's enough. It's enough to make it difficult
later.
Yeah, it's basically enough to make it difficult to get a conviction if they were to pursue criminal charges against the people actually carrying out these instructions.
Exactly, 100%.
And a lot of times, man, with the targeting from the FBI, a lot of it is the process is the punishment. They don't care if they get a conviction. When they knock your front door down and hold your family at gunpoint to come and get you, that there's no words to really describe how violated you feel, especially when it's your own government. That you love your country, but you like question your government, sort of thing. And then they attempt to bankrupt you. So like a lot of times, those are worse punishments than whatever you end up getting sentenced, or sometimes the charges get dropped, but that doesn't matter. They're not going to repay you for the however much money you spent bankrupting your family and the lost wages along the way, or the character assassination that happened to you along the way. I mean, look at the millions and millions of dollars that President Trump has lost fighting a lot of these bogus lawsuits and cases. He's fortunate enough to have the billions of dollars to be able to do that. The average person doesn't, and they were out here targeting the average people as well, and bankrupting these people and then debanking them and making them lose their jobs from the character assassination in the media. So like, it doesn't matter what the court ends up ruling in the end in terms of the conviction. You are convicted by public opinion through the media, which is also being funded by the government. So it's a never ending cycle here in terms of how they're treating people.
Yeah, well, I mean, look at this too. The left loves to weaponize government. Well, we saw it during the IRS scandal with Lois Lerner. And again, nobody paid the price for that. They will they will use the tools at their disposal to attack their political enemies. And then when they get caught, they pretend it's an accident, or, somehow this exceeded their expectations. They really just wanted them to look into these mean people at the school boards or the Christians that were speaking out. To give you one other example about the endless lawfare, I mean, think back to the Brimelows. We had them on a while back to discuss what happened to Virginia Dare, and how Letitia James, for 2 years pursued them. For 4 years pursued them, cost them $2 million in legal fees, just continually asking for documents. So again, like you said, Derek, the process is the punishment. There was no crime. There was nothing she really wanted to investigate. That was all a charade. She just wanted to bankrupt them by FBI dragging them back into court over and over again, having, rack up massive amounts of legal fees, making it difficult to comply with instructions that she gave. And this is the game they play. They weaponize the tools of the system, not because they're pursuing a legitimate criminal or other, ill deeds that they want to uncover. It's because they know the process is enough to silence people, to shut them up, to bankrupt them, and to cripple them politically so they can't be effective and can't move things forward. Guys, we got to take one more quick break.
Really quick before we go on the break, I just wanted to update you and everybody else on that story you brought up, because I know it's not part of the stories we're covering on the Brimelows. I actually spoke with them a couple of weeks ago. Letitia James is still attempting to confiscate their property in the state of West Virginia over claims of things that she's saying that they have, won in court or whatever in New York. So I don't know how Letitia James and the New York AG thinks that she can confiscate property that they own here in West Virginia. And I think it's even in a different LLC and everything. It's a different thing, but they don't care. They're coming after the Brimelows with everything that they have right now, all because they believe in securing our border, basically, and putting America first. It's unbelievable. So I just want to update you on that.
I'll reach out to them. Maybe we'll try to get them on again next week, because they're also very knowledgeable on the whole immigration, since that's kind of the purpose of VDARE. All right, guys, quick break. Hear from our sponsors. We'll be right back with more.
Well, hello, everybody. It's Annie Cyrus. Welcome to my art studio where all the magic happens. This is the station for painting, and that is the station for all the resin art I do. If you want to check out my art, all you gotta do is go to LUTFstudio.com. But I'm sure for this, I hope I'll see you at LUTFstudio.com.
Thank you for staying with us. And again, the best way to support our program and all the great programs here on Ex America News is by supporting our sponsors. Go to LUTFstudio.com. Buy yourself a unique, one-of-a-kind, handmade piece of art from Annie Cyrus. She does a great job producing a lot of the shows that you see here on Ex America News. And you can catch her program every Tuesday and Thursday, Live Up to Freedom. And I am told she's got some great stuff lined up for next week, diving deep into both India and Pakistan and a variety of other things that are going on right now. All right. Well, what other fresh hell awaits us today? Oh, yes, we have this. Let me get this pulled up correctly. There we go. All right. Rep. James Comer claims Epstein files may have been destroyed, accuses federal government of possible cover-up. You think at this point, when we already know the field office in New York refused to comply, refused to hand over documents. He's not the first person that said he believes a lot of these docs and videos have been destroyed. Tim Burchett's been out there very vocal about this. Same with Marjorie Taylor Greene and many others. And if that's the case, if things were destroyed, I think they need to at least tell us that and then start pursuing anyone that had a hand in destroying these documents, drag them out of the FBI. They clearly cannot be trusted. Same with any other prosecutors or anybody else in the Biden regime. And I don't care if he gave them an auto pen pardon or not. We need to try these people and then still pursue whoever else we can that participated in this. They've got to still have some records. They were told they had thousands of pages of documents still. And somebody's got to pay for this. We still got Ghislaine Maxwell sitting in prison right now for trafficking children to no one. And that can't stand.
No, it cannot. Comer's been coming out with this since last week, and you're right, Burchett is as well. Pam Bondi actually came out this morning and said that FBI is currently going through tens of thousands of files, including videos of stuff that includes videos of underage victims with Epstein. And she did go into some detail about it. But a reporter actually asked her. She said they asked her about Comer's comments, and I watched this a few times because I wanted to see if there was genuine surprise, and there was. Like she really was like, I hadn't heard that statement yet, but I'll contact him and let him know. Here's my theory, and to be clear, like I consider Pam Bondi to be a big disappointment. Okay, so far she would be a huge disappointment to me if I had high expectations, but I didn't. I really didn't have high expectations for her. and she's actually gone below those based upon everything that she's done. But compared to, she's better than Bill Barr. She's better than Jeff
That's not
Sessions.
saying much.
So,
yeah.
I don't know.
I'm just saying.
I don't know, honestly. I don't know if she is or not, honestly, on terms of the results. I mean, she's a great interview.
Yeah.
I'll tell you right now, the Trump administration should ban Pam Bondi from doing another interview until she is doing an interview to announce the arrest of some major significant person for the people who have been trying to destroy our country. Until then, get off of TV and go do your daggone job. That's where I'm at with Pam Bondi. Every time I turn on the TV, she's on the news more than President Trump is right now. And it's always just the same nonsense. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. We found this. We found that. I don't care about any of those things. Let us know when you bring some serious charges. She was just, speaking of which, she was just on C-SPAN earlier today. I posted the video on my X. She says that the FBI is currently reviewing the Epstein files. She says there are tens of thousands of videos of Epstein with children or child pornography and there are hundreds of victims. She says that none of the victims are going to be released, and it's just the volume, and that's what they're going through right now. I don't know. I'm with everybody else, and at this point, you also have to beg the question of, even if they do have the material, and if they do release the material, they botched this entire thing from the get-go, that when they do release it, we're all going to wonder, what did you withhold from us? Like, I'm at the point right now is, even if they release and say, this is everything, here you go, I'm not going to believe it. Like, call me conspiracy theory or whatever, I don't care, but like, I'm not going to believe it, because they've botched this entire thing from day one. And when I say they, I mean Pam Bondi and Cash, the Trump people, not President Trump, but his people. They handed out the stupid little
binders
to the ex-influencers as if there was something new, and it was like, that's all information everybody already had. That did nothing, but they pretended as if it was something special and all that. And so then they said they're going to release it, and then they never did. It's just been chaos, to say the least.
Well, and even those ex-influencers, they set them up to look like fools. They handed them these binders on their way out the door from a meeting. And, during that meeting, they led them to believe, oh, yeah, this is the first batch of many. They shove them out the back door with the media out there. They all hold up the little binders. I remember them dancing a jig or something. One of them or a couple of them did that, pretending that we had something. And it was, stuff that had already been out before. It was actually less than we'd had before, because some of those pages were redacted that weren't previously. But, yeah, I mean, that was a huge, huge flub on her part. And, I'm not going to be happy unless we see some real arrests, like especially some of these people that we knew took multiple trips back and forth to the island. Bill Gates, Adam Schiff, even Chuck Schumer, the Clintons. That there needs to be consequences for this. I'm sick and tired of watching all these powerful people that we know have committed massive crimes or frauds against the American people, and there not being any justice for us. Instead, it gets swept under the rug because they're political buddies. And we see smaller versions of this all the time, like with that Tesla terrorist in Minnesota, I think. Yeah, because he worked for the Walz administration. Now, luckily, they are going to pursue federal charges, but at the state level, they're like, you know what, you vandalized 6 or 8 cars or whatever it was, did $25,000-$30,000 worth of damage. But you can go to a diversion program where you're just going to have to do some community service and talk about your anger issues with a therapist. And it's BS, and I'm tired of it, and so is the rest of the country.
I'll just quickly say, at this point, it doesn't have to be a major arrest on the Epstein list for me. It could be somebody I've never even heard of. Nobody has been arrested in terms of being a client of Epstein. So to your point earlier, Maxwell's sitting in prison right now. I mean, if I was her and her attorneys, I'd be appealing the case. And we all know she's guilty. I'm not saying that, and I don't want her to get out. She's a terrible person. But when you're looking at it from the point of a legal perspective, it's like, well, how is she sitting in prison for trafficking children to apparently no one? So at this point, I would be fine with a low-level person we've never even heard of, but they were an Epstein client that is getting arrested, because if she's guilty, which we all know that she is, but if she's guilty, then obviously she trafficked these children to somebody. Where are those arrests? And nothing's happening. And I think that's where the frustration is coming from with everybody.
Yeah.
Can I throw out real quick? I don't even want to call this a conspiracy theory.
Because it's a conspiracy
really
fact.
Conspiracy. Well, no. This one is a conspiracy fantasy. I don't think this is correct. Okay. But I want to keep this hope in the back of my mind. Somebody had told me that they thought it was a conspiracy theory, and they were sure this is exactly what's happening. I look at it as, okay, I don't think that's true, but if it is, that's awesome. So here's the theory. Pam Bondi, she gets in there. She starts digging into New York. She finds, holy crap, Oh my gosh, no wonder they're trying to cover it. You got New York people, there's the New York FBI office, they're scurrying, they're running for cover. They're like, look, we don't want to be killed. Okay. We're just stepping back. If you want this stuff, you can have it, but leave my name out of it. Kash Patel comes in, he's like, holy crap. And they're starting to realize that this is not just, oh my gosh, it's Prince Andrew and Bill Gates. No, it's like, holy crap, there's a lot of people that are still on Capitol Hill that are on this list. There's a lot of people that, and so the theory is that between James Comer and Pam Bondi, they're out there playing incompetent. Meanwhile, and again, don't forget, conspiracy fantasy, not conspiracy theory. Meanwhile, Kash Patel is like going around the flank, and he's getting ready. The only way they could ever pull this off is if it's a blitzkrieg of just like, okay, nothing to worry about. We're incompetent. Oh my gosh, no wait, Kash Patel just arrested everybody in one day. He like launched, multiple strikes and arresting everybody, and that's the hopium that I have.
Yeah.
I just want to throw it out there as a fantasy possibility, and that puts Kash Patel as the knight in shining armor and all that.
I had
stuff.
that hope
Right.
as well, JD, and I have to admit that every single day that passes, my hope wanes with that. I hope so. I would love to come on this podcast one day and say, I've been wrong. They were awesome. They were doing exactly what you just said, and I would be the first person. I would say I was wrong with a smile on my face, and my wife would be
Like I
amazed
said,
because it would never happen.
Fantasy, brother. I don't think it's true. I'm just saying, hey, that would be awesome. That would be awesome. Everybody get on your knees. All right, let's pray for this. Let this be the case, please, God.
Well, that is kind of the other thing that we've seen floated a few times by people within the Trump administration. It's something I've been told off the record by two people in his orbit now, that between June and July that there's going to be two giant blocks of arrests that will take place related to different things. That basically they are planning to do giant simultaneous strikes. But like you guys keep saying, it'd be nice to see something small in the lead up to that, even if it isn't the big names, the Adam Schiffs and the Hillary Clintons and whoever else. Even if, like you said, if some low-level staffer or even somebody outside the political system, some financial person that also had a relationship with Epstein, see them get handcuffed and frog marched out. But just to see some action on their part, and I think that's what a lot of us are getting frustrated with, especially when, and I get the Biden auto pen pardons probably threw a few curveballs into things, but even those, I think they need to take those to court and start fighting them now, because that's going to be a whole nother legal battle that may prevent Fauci and others from seeing justice. But yeah, I'm tired of seeing nothing. Even just last week, Thom Homan said that we sometime this week we might see arrests of some of these mayors or governors, whoever else, that are obstructing ICE. I just want to see something. I want to see somebody that's breaking the law get frog marched out of there and charged with real crimes. I am tired of seeing no results.
Yeah. And I still want to know where Jeffrey Epstein is.
Yeah. Well, we're about out of time. What's the best? Yeah, well, I'm not convinced on that one either. If you wanted to slip somebody out of prison, that's how you do it. Have the guards fall asleep, the cameras off, fake their death, and then, did anybody ever see a body? So who knows? He's probably back on his island.
Kind of like Osama bin Laden. Nobody ever saw that body either. So, I don't believe it. I really start to wonder as well. He's probably doing the same thing right now, and that's why there's no arrest, because his clients are still active. Maybe that's why. I don't know.
Yeah, they just shifted it under to a new government handler. It's still an ongoing CIA/Mossad honey trap. JD, what's the best place for our audience to find you?
So my X is probably the best way because, as much as I do focus on, I've got like 9 sites, the Liberty Daily, where I'm editor. We've got all these various socials, but the one where I have open DMs, I get lots of every day. So, be patient, but I have open DMs. If you go to x.com/JD Rucker, you can see it right there on the screen. That's my handle. And I try to talk to anybody who's willing to talk to me on there.
Awesome. We do a lot of great work, the Liberty Daily, with your podcast, with everything else. Thank you for being, a patriot out there that's been in this fight for a long time and is not going to be relenting anytime soon. To our audience, please like, share, and subscribe. Help us to grow so we can bring more people the news the mainstream media doesn't want you to hear. We'll be back tomorrow with even more.